Hi, I'm Lilibeth Navarro. I'm the Executive Director of Communities Actively Living Independent and Free. It's a mouthful, but we call it Calif. It's an independent living center that serves the central Los Angeles area. So we're very happy to announce that effective May 1st, we have started Calif's Employment Services. And what we aim to do is to help people with disabilities, specifically those who are DOR clients, to find jobs. In the history of the disability movement, there was a fight for civil rights. We learned from the civil rights movement of the 60s. But in the civil rights law, we were not part of that. So then we had to fight for the Americans with Disabilities Act, which was passed in 1990, which then guaranteed our access to the external environment, our access to opportunities, and access to communication, transportation, and jobs. So this is about the access to jobs. How does a disabled person work? We have obviously to make sure that the external environment is accessible. We have to make sure that we have a viable living setup. So that's what the public social service system is about. So we have programs that provide for our health care. In California, it's Medi-Cal and Medicare. We have accessible housing through HUD, Section 8 vouchers. We have the IHSS in-home supportive services system to give us personal care attendant, among other things. So with those things being in place, we now have the opportunity and should have the opportunity to access jobs. Why? Because a job is an economic tool in order to get to the promise of the U.S. Constitution of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We have to get there. People with disabilities do not have to be imprisoned in an economic system that makes them, that forces them to just live on $850 a month for California on SSI and just, to live a very limited life. The workplace that we know now will not have to be the workplace of the future. Why? Because the gift of people with disabilities is to transform anything and everything that they become a part of. This is true in history. A disability, instead of being a negative thing, is a positive thing. The environment changes. We have to have ramps. We have to have all these things like sign language for the deaf. Everything has to be in place so that everybody becomes a part of that world. So in the working world, our job developers will have to knock on the doors of employers and say, hey, do you have jobs there that people with disabilities can do? If they don't have them, then we can be creative in looking at the jobs and create those jobs. Maybe change the mode that the job is done, and maybe make changes even to the home of people with disabilities to allow them to work and connect with the main office. This is the kind of revolution that's already in the mainstream society. So the revolution that we're about to do is a revolution in the workplace. How do we do that? We knock on the employers' doors. We implement the Americans with Disabilities Act. We make use of programs like the Work Incentive Act, the tax incentives for employers. We make use of all that so that more and more people with disabilities can work. I think the statistics show that about 85% of people with disabilities are underemployed, and that's a scandal. This country brings work overseas when they can very well use people with disabilities right here and employ them. And that's only one of the changes that we have to make in the workplace. So we're excited at Calif. We want our independent living services to be at the service of job developers and disabled people who want to work. We have, as the Independent Living Center, about 8 programs, 7 core services, and now we're up to about 13 programs all in all to make it possible for a disabled person to live independently. But that's not enough. That's just the first phase. The second phase is to use these independent living services to make it possible for people to work, for them to maintain their jobs, and for them to have that security that even if at the workplace or they have a little setback, because life with a disability is characterized by that. Sometimes you work straight for 8 months and then you get sick. Then what? Well, you have to have a safety net that really supports you and that continues to inspire you to keep going, because one day you'll be well again. So we're happy to be here. We want to create a revolution first in our head and heart. People with disabilities have to challenge themselves. Yes, we're disabled, but God gave us a lot of talent, skills, and there's a reason for all that, and we have to use that to renew the face of the earth. Because in the world, like everybody else, we're co-creators. So we have to build and make this a better place. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Gaitan. I am the new Program Director for the Calif Employment Services Program, and we are proud and excited to be partnering with the Department of Rehabilitation to assist individuals with disabilities to find employment in the greater Los Angeles area. Our focus will be first to partner with the Department of Rehabilitation to provide services, for example, ILC services here at Calif, and to provide job placement services to the consumers. Our second focus is going to be to develop a strong network with employers in the business community. We're going to be focusing on offering them employer incentives such as OJT and WOTC, which is the Work Opportunity Tax Credits. Incentives like this motivate employers to hire our consumers. There is a great number of employers that are not aware of OJT or WOTC tax credits that are available to them, and we will make certain that they're aware of that. Our third focus will be working with consumers to prepare them for the job search. This will include helping them with creating and revising resumes, cover letters, interview techniques, what to say, what not to say during an interview, how to discuss their disability and how it affects their work environment, also how to address the need for work accommodations. We have assembled a team of job developers, also referred to as employment specialists, who are highly qualified and experienced with working with people with disabilities. They are passionate, dedicated, and extremely knowledgeable with the work incentives, how to make excellent matches with employers and job applicants, and knowledgeable about the barriers and the challenges that are faced by our consumers who have disabilities. Our fourth focus will be to bring together a partnership between Department of Rehabilitation, Calif, and employers in the community. This combination will be the key to helping consumers with disabilities enter the workforce in the greater Los Angeles area.